This is the Ag Engineering Podcast that rolls right into the details on tools, tips, and techniques that improve you, your farm, and our world. I'm your host, Andy Chamberlain from the University of Vermont Extension, and this podcast is sponsored by Northeast SARE. Thanks for listening. Today we're in Granville, Vermont with Gabby and Henry of Old Road Farm. They're now growing 3 acres in climate zone 4B. They've been farming since 2015, and they sell about $100,000 worth of product to farmers markets, co-op, CSA, and their farm stand. Gabby and Henry, welcome to the show.
Hi, Andy.
Thanks. So if you could describe your farm in one sentence, what would you say?
We are a diversified organic vegetable farm with a focus on salad greens.
So previously we talked about your stone barrier, which is a unique piece of equipment, rototiller that instead of brings stones up to the top, it buries them down below to make a nice seed bed. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure you check out the previous episode with these guys. But today we're going to learn a little bit more about them. So if you could tell me about a time when you felt really successful in farming.
When we get everything done on our to-do list, or most of it done, I think that's a good day. Also, when we're able to fulfill our orders and bring a lot to market, I think those are days that we're really proud of.
Yeah, when harvest days for the co-op goes smoothly and everything looks great and it's easy to get harvested and washed and everything's done, and 5 o'clock, Gabby and I can sit down and make dinner. That's a good day. You know, it's doesn't happen all that much, but it's been getting better and better. So
when you finish the to-do list, how do you do that?
Yeah, have we ever finished a to-do list?
Well, an immediate to-do list.
Yes, okay.
Finish the highest priorities.
Not going to bed thinking really should have gotten that other thing done today.
Turning the lights on the tractor.
Yep.
Going out after supper. Tell me about a time when you felt really challenged by farming.
I think with farming, there are a lot of external factors that we can't control, weather being a big one. And so timing doesn't always work out with, trying to get beds prepped and seeded. And I think that's one of our biggest challenges. And then also for us this year, we hired 2-3 employees, and learning to manage people has also been a learning curve for us, because for the first 5 seasons, really it was just Henry and I. Those are my biggest challenges, I think.
Yeah, definitely. There's times where we just have crops fail basically, and it's hard to just accept that and kind of move on to the next thing. But that's an important part of farming, and it's part of why we like salad greens, is because we're seeding every week, and if one looks bad, then we can learn from that planting and see what we can do next week better.
We're also still, working on creating a lot of our systems. This is our 2nd season on our farm. So knowing where we want to be, but not being quite there yet, with, all the equipment that we need and the tools that we need.
Yeah, infrastructure.
Yep. That's challenging, but we're making do.
Yeah, well, it's easier than last year.
Yes.
Exactly. And yeah, so last year, was your first growing season on this land. So you had a lot of building to do, a lot of figuring out to do. I mean, you had growing experience, which was great, but you're trying to, build your business on new land while building your infrastructure. How did you navigate that and keep salad going out the door while putting up greenhouses?
Well, we hired Mike Feiner from Vine Ripe to put our greenhouses up.
Yep.
And I think that has been a big lesson for us is, when we can, to hire out work. We had to do some excavating and hiring that out instead of having to do it by hand or having Henry do it with a tractor.
Yeah.
That was worth it. Even like our taxes and our payroll, hiring that out. It's just, it saves us time and headache so that we can focus on things like growing salad greens.
Yeah. I
and
think
growing
it's
vegetables.
part of scaling up has been definitely figuring out what we just don't have the capacity to do and what's easier to have someone who actually knows what they're doing do it. That's been a big thing.
That's a good point. I think a lot of beginning farmers are just kind of want to do everything themselves, but knowing when to let go and just let somebody who knows what they're doing get it done quicker can be really worth it. I love, well, not that I love spending money, but it makes me happy to spend money like on a good excavator when they can just do so much work so fast. It's like, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think it actually ends up, saving us money in the long run. That way we can focus on making money.
Right, because I'm not a good if I had to push all that, if I had to backfill that trench with the tractor bucket, it would have taken me forever. And that's time that I'm not doing, what is actually my role on the farm, which is being the farmer. So, yeah, that was an important lesson for us.
And Henry, you also work off farm full time. How do you manage doing both?
It's definitely a challenge occasionally. I've got a great job. I work for the Vermont Association of Conservation Districts, so helping to administer USDA NRCS programs. So basically, the high tunnel program is what people might be familiar with there. Yeah, it's a challenge. I think we couldn't do it without Gabby being the one full time on the farm, and I kind of work in evenings and weekends, and if something breaks midday, and I've been able to work from home, which has been really great because if something does break, I can run out and spend half an hour fixing it.
But I think having Henry work off farm has also been great too, in that it gives us a cushion.
Yes. Yep.
Because we are still learning a lot, and we are still making a lot of mistakes, and knowing that we do have some income coming that's not solely based off of a crop or our farm. So
Yep.
In the beginning phases, I think having the off-farm income is crucial.
Oh, for sure. And it's helped us scale up as quickly as we have. I mean, it's just like a little context, like the year before we moved here, we did about 40,000 in sales. And in the past year we did 90. And this year we're going to be well over that, I think. So, I mean, it's been a pretty rapid scale up, and just having that steady paycheck has kind of given us the level of security to be able to do that and know that we're going to be able to pay for that stone barrier that's going to let us be more efficient.
And that also helped you buy this property, right?
Yes.
If you were just a farmer bringing in $40K previously, that might have been a little bit harder of an investment to get this farm.
Yep.
Do you plan to go full-time farming eventually, or do you think you'll always have some sort of off-farm income to calm the waters?
Well, I hope my boss doesn't listen to this.
Yeah.
I would like to get to the point where we're both on the farm full-time, and I think for our sanity, we kind of need to get to that point. But yeah, that is the long-term goal.
Yeah. So talking about long-term farm plans, you're planning to farm for a long time. So what does sustainable farming mean to you, and what are you doing to make it a sustainable business?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's all kinds of aspects to sustainability, in the kind of environmental aspect of it. At this point, we're working with soil that's been pretty depleted over a number of years. It was just hayed for a while before we got here. So our, all our nutrients are very low. We're really in a mode of just building everything up quickly now. But as we kind of reach the production levels we'd want, then we're going to start focusing more on
Cover cropping.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. We're going to try to focus, instead of just an input heavy system, which I feel like, to be honest, we are right now. We're spreading a lot of fertilizer in the spring because at this point we need it. Our soil is pretty depleted, but it as we grow and kind of reach a point of stability, the focus will shift to more how to keep what's already there going and building organic matter, having rotations in place. Right now we're pretty intensively cropping all the ground we've got in production. As we bring more into production, we'd like to do more longer term rotations. Yeah, I don't know. There's little inklings of a dream of incorporating animals at some point, but that's kind of down the road a ways.
A whole nother thing.
Yes. Yep. And and in addition to the environmental sustainability aspect of it, I think there's a sustainability for ourselves and our energy level and being able to do this in the long term. And that's an important place to get to too.
Yeah, I think we're learning, that we don't have to grow everything.
Yes.
That we can grow fewer crops and grow it well.
Yes.
I think that has been a huge enlightenment, I guess.
Kind of change of
A change of
mindset for how we approach things is, we can maintain a pretty high level of diversification for our crop rotations as well as our income, but not have to grow every single crop and be able to be specialized a little more. And that's kind of that's a big thing for us. And it lets us focus on things we're good at, kind of drop things that are constantly failing and just a source of headache every year.
And allowing us to kind of focus on a few crops allows us to mechanize and really focus on creating more efficient systems.
And, there's so many farmers in Vermont that not everybody has to grow everything. And I think that's kind of an approach that we're leaning into a little bit. There's a farm just down the road that grows a lot of storage crops for winter. They grow potatoes and storage carrots and all this cabbage and stuff like that. So we're planning on buying in a bunch of stuff for our CSA and our farm stand from them. And, we don't need to buy a carrot harvester. We can focus on other things. I'm happy to support them and what they're doing and do something a little different here.
Because they also have similar growing ideals. They're only a couple miles away, if that, right?
Yeah.
So that's awesome, that you can partner and work with each other right here in the same valley.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a nice collaboration. And like you said, that focusing on a handful of crops allows you to really narrow down and get good at what you're doing, especially with salad. It's got a quicker turn, so you can refine that system.
Yeah, it's a very delicate system. There's a lot to refine. So
you had mentioned, farming for the long haul, and as well as, getting your to-do list done by 5:00. But we all know that the to-do list never ends. So how are you pacing yourself, or how do you know when to just check out for the day and know that you'll come back to it tomorrow?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
I think that's harder for Henry than it is for me.
Am I ever done at 5:00?
Okay, 7, 9.
Dark. Yeah.
I think for me, it's that I know that I want to be doing this for a long time, so that and that burnout is a real thing, so that self-care is also really important, and that, maybe my sanity is a little bit more important than zucchini getting overgrown, or,
I think part of it comes back to outsourcing stuff. We've hired more people this year, so we can get things done instead of having to do everything ourselves. And that, I think, has been a big change this year, even though it brings in management challenges. It's having, a 3-person crew is much different than having Gabby and one other person. And it allows us, when everything's going smoothly, things, the immediate needs of the day are done at 4 or 5 o'clock. And then, Gabby can either relax or we can focus on some kind of longer term projects in the evening. And that's a different mindset than being rushing, trying to figure out how we're going to get done what needs to absolutely be done today, and it's getting dark, and that's a much more stressful place to be. So getting away from that.
It's when you're running out of time to do it yourself. Well, yeah, you hire somebody.
Yes.
Now you've been farming a few years now, but 2 years on this property, so you're kind of still getting going, ramping up, building infrastructure, like you said. But what do you envision, or what did you envision your farm would look like when you're getting started?
I think for me, I think I was so focused on like the immediate future that maybe I wasn't so focused on like what our long-term farm would look like. I think for me, it was just like taking it one day at a time and just trying to figure out what we were good at growing and what we liked to grow. So I think in the beginning, for me at least, I didn't quite have an exact, picture of what our farm would look like. I mean, I knew that we both wanted to be farming full time and, working for ourselves and growing vegetables. But I think having an open idea of what our future farm would look like, I think that's where I was more at.
Yeah, just being open to opportunities as they present themselves, I think. And the vision has definitely changed over time. I think when we started out, like our first year, we were on like under a quarter acre, and our dream was maybe we're going to be like a 1 acre market garden someday. And now we're on 3 acres, and I mean, the dreams have grown along with kind of the scale, and there's a few different paths that we've kind of talked about and thought about, but something that can support both of us and ideally, a few other people, and pay people a decent wage and farm in a way that we believe in, and produces a lot of food and economic impact for our town and our area. And that's kind of the trajectory we see ourselves on now.
What do you think was the biggest impact that got you from that quarter acre starting to more than 1, almost 3 now? What was the big thing that led to that success and that growth, that enabled that growth?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's been our relationship with the Middlebury Co-op has been incredible. They are amazing. They really treat their farms well, and we really appreciate the way that they work with farms. We kind of got a foot in the door there selling baby kale. We were selling like 40 bags of baby kale a week because no one else wanted to grow it, and it was just kind of one of those right place, right time things where now we're their primary salad greens supplier, and are starting to do more of some other crops for them. But they're just a great co-op to work with.
How'd you start that conversation? Did you just walk in one day and be like, "Hey, do you want to buy something from me?"
I think that is what we did. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was something like that.
And I think they probably said, "No, we're all set." And then we called back another week and like, "You want some baby kale?" And they said, "Yeah, we'll take like 6." And then, but no, we just built that relationship over time, and yeah, it's been great. And yeah, I'd say that, and just being stubborn about it.
And then I think at the beginning, especially doing, farmers markets, we were doing 3 at the beginning, which was a lot of work. But I think to have, to be able to get that retail price, when we were on such a small scale, was also, I think, really important to our growth.
Yeah. Our markets have changed a lot as we've grown. I'm glad we're not doing 3 farmers markets a week anymore. But
I think it was really important.
It was, yeah. No, it made us get good quick because we had to have a wide range of stuff every week.
That's true. I guess that's one downside of a very narrow crop mix, is that it doesn't make you a great farmer's market vendor, right? Because they're looking for that diversity.
Yep.
So you started real small and kind of grew as the market expanded. Now you're here on your own land and ramping things up. What What's your 10-year outlook look like? What's your dream farm? You mentioned, both being full-time here and being open-minded to what agriculture looks like, but at this point in time, what's the dream for you?
Well, we own about 18 tillable acres, grown on 3 or maybe a little more now. I think the goal would be to really expand the salad greens production, pick up some more accounts. We're kind of brainstorming now where else we can move higher volumes of that kind of stuff. And then also expanding the season has been a big one. We've put up, we've got 5 tunnels now, 4 30 by 96 and 1 small tomato tunnel, but they're mostly like shoulder season tunnels. They're not heated at this point, but if we could, at some point, we would like to really expand into like winter production of salad greens and really close that gap as much as possible.
And also to take pressure off in the height of the season.
Yep.
So that, all our income isn't just in
6 months.
6 months. And then also I think in 10 years, it'd be nice to not be working all the time, just,
Right.
I mean, working on a farm, you're going to be working more than most people. But I think getting to a place where our systems are in place and, we have employees and, we know how to manage them and.
Yeah. Finding the right people to help us take some of the strain off. There's all kinds of dreams. There's a lot of land in this valley that's really nice agricultural land. And, I've got some dreams.
Yep. What are you excited about in your next year of farming?
Having all 4 tunnels from the start and
New tools.
tools.
A tractor seeder.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, there's a couple things we've talked about, but I think last year was just like crazy infrastructure year, putting up tunnels, putting in irrigation, buying all this equipment, building our propagation house last fall and winter to get ready for this spring. And I think this year is a little bit of a continuation of that. We're building more tunnels. We're finishing up some other projects, and it's just, I think next year we're looking forward to like having a year almost of like a pause in the super rapid growth, just to like
refine some
systems, get some details down when we're not also worried about building the next thing. And then we can, year after that, get right back into it. But just every year of
grow of infrastructure. Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
Maybe have a better handle on the weeds next season.
Yeah, hopefully.
Is there anything else that you guys wanted to share that didn't get brought up?
No, I mean, I think we're really lucky to be farming in a state with such great support for farmers, with UVM Extension and just with so many other organic vegetable farmers. There's just so much knowledge to be shared and to learn and to innovate, and it's very inspiring.
Yeah. And I think, when you ask about, what was the biggest single thing that got us from a quarter acre to where we are now, I think there's, there's so many people that helped us along the way, Intervale Center and Land Trust and Farm Viability. It's just so many resources available that we've taken advantage of and that have really, really gotten us to where we are today. And we appreciate that. So.
Well, if people want to find and follow your farm, how's the best way for them to check you out?
We're on Instagram. It's Old Road Farm, and then our website, oldroadfarmvt.com. That has our contact information as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks, guys, for coming onto the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If I can ask you or direct you to do one thing, that is to go to the website for this podcast, agengpodcast.com. That's agengpodcast.com. There you'll find the show notes. You'll find links to the farmer who we chatted with today, as well as photos or videos from the call when I visited the farm. If you've got some feedback to share, my contact information's on there, or you can leave me a voicemail, and you can do that right from the link in the description in the mobile app you're listening to this to. So go ahead and do that. Thanks again for listening, and I hope you have a great day.